Hey guys, Noel here. It is Monday, and I'm going to get down to doing some comic booking soon for school. I get to draw comic books in the education program at SUNY Binghamton, which is really cool. They're educational comic books about education philosophers, but it's. I'll do a video on that another time. I think you'll enjoy the adventures of Noel and Paolo Fieri. But anyway, excuse me. I was taking a walk to get some coffee this morning, and I started thinking about the philosophical concept of authenticity and how it related to presidential politics. And I thought to myself, since I don't have class today, that gives me a little bit of time to do some weblogging. And weblogging is kind of therapeutic and fun, and it leaves a historical record of your thoughts that you can share with the world. So that's why I enjoy it. And what I was starting to think about was authenticity and how it related to Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump, who are the political candidates right now that everyone is talking about in the United States running for president. Let's first talk a little bit about authenticity as a philosophical concept. I think this concept gained a lot of philosophical weight for two reasons. One reason is that middle class German philosophers felt in the 19th century and into the 20th century, felt kind of whiny and dissatisfied and just like to complain. And so to a certain extent, it's just kind of BS, kind of entitled class anxieties. To the other hand, on the other hand, there is deep, meaningful insight that penetrates how people think about truth and value and justice. So it's kind of a combination of reasons why authenticity became something in philosophical and cultural and political discourse. And the concept of authenticity has been glommed onto by advertisers, particularly in the 1990s and in the 60s too. But like Coke is the real thing. And 90s rappers, they keep it real. Reality and authenticity is a disposable commodity now. So anyway, the idea for a lot of these German philosophers like Kierkegaard and Marx and Nietzsche, and I don't like Nietzsche really, but I'm going to throw his name into this mix because the whole fear, the whole middle class anxiety about authenticity is the idea that you're not acting of your own free will. And where that applies to the middle class, I think, is there's a lot of anxiety about being a slave, right? In the United States, we can understand this pretty well, right? The middle class in the United States wanted to be very clear that they were better than the African American slaves in the South, right? I'm not black. I'm not a slave. I want to own slaves, right? That was part of the American dream for a while in the United States. So this whole idea of not wanting to be a slave, and that coming from the middle class, I think, and then tying that to this idea that human beings are serving ideas that are constructed by individuals with power interests other than yours, right? So this is where I think all of these ideas about what is truth, what's authentic, what is me as an individual, which again is a philosophically constructed concept, but I think merges with the kind of a truth with a capital T, right? What is you as an individual component of existence? How do you act without being compelled against your will and dignity, right? How do you act without just a mere power agenda, even of your own, right? How do you act truthfully, right? How do you act morally? Now we're starting to drift away from Nietzsche, rightly so, because he didn't think that truth and knowledge and ethics could be separated from power. But people like Kierkegaard and Marx and Paulo Freire, who I mentioned, and Jesus and Noam Chomsky and lots of other philosophers who I think have and thinkers who have good value, understand that truth and power can be separated, but power can be a condition for promulgating truth. And so from here, let's move into presidential politics. I think that Bernie Sanders running for president is not something that was a kind of a lifelong goal for him, or even a goal that was even that recent. Maybe I'm wrong, but just as an outsider, it just seemed like Hillary Clinton was the shoo-in nominee. Bernie Sanders had, I mean, what the hell? I think he just kind of threw his hat in the ring because he felt that he was the only politician really talking about the injustices that he felt were plaguing the United States' kind of credibility and identity as some kind of having any thread of moral legitimacy. So I think he just decided, I'm old, I got nothing to lose, I'm proud, Hillary Clinton's the person everyone's saying is going to be coronated. Worst case scenario, I'll get my name and some ideas out there. And that's just really kind of taken off because what Bernie Sanders has been screaming on C-SPAN for the last 20 years is the thing that a lot of people had been thinking about in their heads, but had never had a political condition to be able to pull a lever in favor of. And so I think that's a lot of Bernie Sanders' appeal, and I think he's just being himself. They have these memes on the internet of Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. They're, where it's like, no Bernie and Hillary on the real issues. And the funny part about them is they're these disposable, funny mass culture issues that people in their teens through, late 30s, enjoy, like movies and music and video games and food and things like that. Right? Everyone likes food, but like fast food chains, So something like, where do Hillary and Bernie stand on Fight Club? And Bernie has no answer because you don't talk about Fight Club if you've seen the movie. And Hillary Clinton, who's out of touch with the people, because it's like she doesn't really care about the movie Fight Club. You're not going to get elected on the movie Fight Club, right? You're going to get elected on how you can just come up with political rhetoric that's going to get people to nod their heads enough, right? So Hillary Clinton, her answer in this meme is, have you heard of Fight Club? There's another one of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, the hipster Adult Swim cartoon that, like Bernie Sanders, kind of by accident gained kind of a following in the mainstream. Although Aqua Teen Hunger Force is not completely mainstream. And the opening to Aqua Teen Hunger Force, when the show was still good in the first 5 or 6 seasons, it was like, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, #1 in the hood, G. And so it says, Aqua Teen Hunger Force. That's the issue for Hillary and Bernie. And Bernie Sanders is like, #1 in the hood, G. And Hillary Clinton, the picture assigned to her goes, the comment assigned to her goes, world hunger is a serious problem, so I fully support America's marine youth. This is the idea that I'm trying to get at here in a very roundabout way, that everything Hillary Clinton says is programmed to get a reaction that is beneficial to her political agenda, right? And she may or may not believe what she says, and as far as she's been all over the map politically, so I think the only thing Hillary Clinton really cares about is ambition. And that's in mass culture, a capitalist mass culture, that I think plays to the darker impulses that people have and cultivates really destructive aspects of people that I think we should be trying to understand and channel into something creative and moral, right? Because people have the capacity to love and raise their children, and then they also have the capacity to murder their children, right? And so both of those things come from human potential and impulse, but you want your potential and impulse and ideas to flow towards something constructive and moral and nurturing, as opposed to something destructive that will give you short-term agenda at really philosophically and ethically meaningful just destruction. And so that puts you in a bad position in the big picture, right? If you believe in truth, right? And morality, right? You're kind of putting yourself on the bad side of existence. also from a practical perspective, people understand that for the survival of the species, they need to not have people running around and killing each other. So you're gonna have legal consequences for that as well, right? So I kind of got a little off track there. But essentially, the reason that I'm bringing up, ambition being romanticized is that shows like House of Cards or now discredited rappers like 50 Cent. Ambition is a tagline that they put on their products to get people to sell, to get people to buy, because it's some kind of giddy taboo. It's like, oh, it's my right to rebel and be ambitious. This is the commercialization of bourgeois philosophers like Nietzsche, right? Who for him it's like the human will and human power and how you find the most relentless and ruthless and beautiful way to impose your will on the what people think is really the ultimate, right? For a philosopher like Nietzsche. Okay, so that's what Donald Trump is, right? So now we're going to switch to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is someone like, someone from House of Cards, or like, like a kind of a disposable media personality like 50 Cent. He's the guy on The Apprentice, right? He's the arbiter of capitalism. He's the unapologetic, ambitious, self-promoting son of a bitch, and he's the guy that, like a stupid high school girl, you've been programmed to swoon over, right? Okay. Now, so that's all fine as long as that's just segmented into consumption for money, right? But when that starts to have meaningful political implications and people start to understand that we've replaced morality and ethics with the kind of screwed up Nietzschean philosophy and capitalist consumer values, and now that's led us to start to embrace someone like Donald Trump, who his only authentic thing is that he's just a charismatic bully, right? He's authentically a charismatic bully, but everything that he says is still artificial, is still designed not to bring himself or us as a nation closer to any kind of truth or justice or morality, but it's just designed to get him elected president because it's a way to get his name in the history books, right? So, again, Donald Trump may have the only thing that's authentic about him and Hillary Clinton is their ambition. And everything they say is just kind of political BS. With Bernie Sanders, before he was even politically relevant on the national stage, he's been saying what he's saying now on the campaign trail. And I just want to say this really quickly. A lot of people are saying that Bernie Sanders can't win in our economic system, in our political system, in our social system. Because even if he gets enough votes democratically, which he may or may not do, we don't know. But even if Bernie Sanders, like he just won Vermont 60-40, because of the way the political system is skewed and the way that the media is skewed, he's not going to get as many delegates as Hillary Clinton electorally, and the media is going to just keep trying to shove Hillary Clinton down our throats. And just have Bernie Sanders be a ratings tool, right? They're still trying to coronate Hillary Clinton while use Bernie Sanders as ratings bait because he's got a Democratic following. So what this kind of means is that the idea that something other than capitalism has no shot, and I mean, this might sound naive that I'm bringing this up because everyone watching this might say, oh yeah, duh, you're just figuring this out. It's like, no, I know. But it shouldn't be, and I want to have that out there that it shouldn't be this way, and it's logically hypocritical for the United States kind of official, both implicit and explicit, philosophical, moral, and economic standards, right? That we claim to be a society that values democracy, election, and even if you think we're not a democracy, we're a republic still relies to an extent on the will of the people, right? Well, if the will of the people cuts against the economic interests of the people that run the country, and you live in a democracy, the people who run the country should just, by the constitutional principles of that country, say, all right, we lost, we'll run again the next election cycle, right? Okay, but what people are saying is that, well, economic and political system is just an autocratic sham with elements of democracy to it. So an honest, morally progressive politician like Bernie Sanders can't win. So what that does, if you believe that and are kind of pushing that idea, is that you're basically proving authoritarian socialists like Lenin and Stalin and Mao correct. That there is no meaningful electoral tool for, if you believe socialism as a progressive idea, there's no way other than violent revolution for the will of the people to basically be solidified. Now, I think there's plenty of examples in history, and socialism has a spectrum, and progressivism has a spectrum, with both good and really positive elements, and the worst elements you can imagine. I use progressivism too, because there's a lot of unethical, eugenic. Only seeing your nose and not seeing anything beyond that. What I'm saying is that it sets a bad logical and political precedent for the United States to basically have a socialist democratically winning elections and then basically having the Democratic National Committee, the media, and the economic elite basically saying, yeah, okay, people, we know you like Bernie, but you're not going to get him, because this isn't really a democracy. So that sets people up, because Occupy Wall Street happened, right? And it kind of fizzled out politically. Now Bernie Sanders has happened, and he's solid politically. But if that goes away, the next step is going to be something not as good. And I'm not saying that as a threat. I'm saying that socialists and progressives need to have an electoral avenue to vent their grievances, or else, and I'm not saying I want any part of it, but it could turn into something less politically honorable and into something that could destabilize American society. And the one thing that the elite really care about is stability. So that's it, guys. Until next time, my name is Noel. I think you should vote for Bernie Sanders, and we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.